Morning everyone. So thank you very much for joining the Azure Optimisation webcast. So the agenda today is going to be, we'll start with a round of introductions. I'll then just give a brief overview of Risual and what we do, and then I'll pass over to the team to talk about the cloud application optimization, and then we'll answer some questions at the end. So, who's on the call today? So, there's myself, Abby Ingalls, so I'm an account manager at Risual. I've been here for 3 years. I'm joined by Helen Staddon, who's our RMS team lead, and Jamie Hunt, who is the RMS Workload Co-ordinator. If you've got any problems throughout, if you're not seeing any of the slides, please do let me know, just in the IM window. So, just a quick introduction to Risual. So some of you have worked with us in the past and know who we are. For those who are new to working with us, we're a Microsoft Gold partner, and our focus is to help customers to transform and adopt Microsoft technologies. So the skills we have in-house are not limited just to technical consultancy. We can also provide assistance around business advisory consulting, services, skills and solutions. So we're an overall partner to help you to deliver digital transformation. So I'll give you just a quick overview about visual consulting. So, as I mentioned earlier, one of the areas that we can focus on is around consultancy, and this is broken down into different areas. So we've got technical and business. So focusing on the Azure conversation, we're able to help you at different stages of your journey in your project. So we can help you to write a business case for moving to Azure. We can help you to write your cloud strategy. We can create the plan on how you can move to the cloud, but then we can also help you to migrate and also then moving on to the conversation and to optimize the investment that you've made in Azure. So moving on to the managed services slides, this is the main focus of the call today. So as you can see, like the other slides, there's a lot going on, and what I really want to focus on today is just to let you know that the service that we can provide as part of our RMS service is bespoke. So we appreciate that every customer is different, and every customer's got different needs. So we don't want to just band you into bronze, silver, gold, and make you have services that aren't specific to yourself. So we want to give you a really niche experience to make sure that you're really optimizing the services that you've got. So some of the things that we're going to focus on today is around the optimization of Azure. But just some of the other elements that I thought you would be interested in, just to briefly mention, is we can help with proactive management. So we're not just break fix. We can also help you to make sure that you're getting the most out of the services, make sure that they're healthy, and we can actually help you to be more proactive. Security for us is also a big focus. So all of our staff are SC cleared, we're DBS checked, we've got ISO, ITIL, Microsoft and Cyber Essentials accreditations. And especially around the Azure conversation today, we really want to help you with cloud adoption. So moving on to for the skills. So I'm not sure if all of you will be aware of our skills proposition. So we're heavily invested in apprenticeship as a model. So what we do is we can help you with apprenticeships, we can help you with skills, end user adoption and training. So we're one of the only a very small handful of providers that can help you with Azure, Microsoft Azure apprenticeships as well, which obviously will be of interest if you're looking to move to Azure. And then finally, just a quick one about our solutions. So we've got people in-house from different specific sectors. So we've got different applications that are sector specific. So we can help with specific industry knowledge. We can help you to adopt more of the investments that you've made. So all of our IP software is based on Microsoft Office 365 and Azure. So it can just be an extra solution that you can help bolt on that is sector specific to help you to increase your adoption and consumption. So I will now pass over to Helen, and Helen's going to give you an overview of the Azure optimization. Thank you, Helen.
Cheers, Abby. Okay, so I'm going to take you on a little journey, I suppose, about how this all came about. So essentially, quite a while back actually now, before Microsoft offered the in-portal cost optimization that they have with clouding now, we had a EA agreement for quite some time, and we had a bit of an issue in-house, I'll be honest with you. We had a hardware issue, and we actually had to move our infrastructure to the cloud in well, pretty much overnight, essentially. It was a very long night. But what that meant was that actually we had a massive peak in our spend on our EA, and when I came to actually analyse that, because obviously the boss sort of said, well, we need to understand what machines are taking that, what services, where all that money's going, you need to tell me. And the first port of call was to jump onto the EA portal. So I'm hoping the majority of you guys have seen the EA portal before, and if you have, you've probably seen something similar to this, where it does tell you how much you're spending, but it doesn't really tell you what on. So the first point of call for me was the service name, which just told me I was using 14.19567 of A1 VMs, which was really helpful. So I couldn't really go back to the boss with that, if I'm totally honest with you. So we started to have a look, and obviously, as I've mentioned, Microsoft have now actually integrated the presentation's just moving itself. That was nice. So I've actually integrated now what they call Cloudin reports. So a company called Cloudin has written an interface to the Microsoft APIs, and they've put it into a web interface. And Microsoft actually included some of that now. That feature is actually in the Azure portal. For those of you that have tried it, I have tried it. As you can see from the screenshots, these are from our portal. And I personally found it quite tricky to set up, and I actually didn't think it went into the granular detail that I was looking for. That certainly our business was looking for. And in talking to a number of customers over the last few months, they've also really said, the problem is it's great, and it looks great, but it doesn't really tell me what I need to show people. So a lot of people ask me for sort of department cost back, charge back kind of models. And a lot of people are also asking me in particular, how do you hone in on something that, a particular resource that's costing you a lot of money? And I didn't think myself that Cloudin could do that. So this is why we also went and redeveloped our offering, which is very, very similar to the way Cloud is. It is actually the same API, I believe, that we use. So I pull from the Microsoft API, we do, and we've also, in doing that, we've actually gone to the new version of the API. So we've actually got more stable and more sort of quicker data, essentially. It's pulling at a greater frequency now, so it's actually more reliable. And we just simply present that into Power BI dashboards, which Jamie's going to take us through a little bit later. But once we've got that data, we also, one of the things that we do in our service is, whether it comes from Cloudin or whether it comes from our own reports, we actually analyse it from a real sort of person perspective. I think that's possibly the best way to describe it. So you can actually get some recommendations, automated recommendations around things, because the cloud changes so quickly. It's one of those where you pretty much have to be in the mindset that machines will change quite regularly. Things have to reboot, which I think in a traditional data center, a lot of people don't think about that. Certainly from my perspective, it was always, you don't really touch anything until it breaks. But in the new cloud world, you have to, because they're constantly releasing newer, cheaper series of machines, which is how you make the benefit of the cloud, to be honest with you. If you simply leave it, you will find yourself paying over the odds for services and for resources. So a number of things that we look at are control. We can help customers to look at control. So the cloud is all about retaining that control and having certainly RBAC roles, particularly in Azure RM. It's really, really important. So we can help and advise on that. We can definitely look at introducing dev test labs where possible. Everybody's got a dev department. Everybody wants to test things before doing it on live. These dev test labs are cost effective. They can be released to people to let them to let your dev teams do what they need to do without restricting them, but also not. You guys can also keep control of that cost. That's really, really important these days. Another thing that we found that customers ask us to do a lot, and one thing that really helps with the optimization side of things, is the backup solutions. So backup solutions can potentially cost quite a lot of money, depending on what your requirements are. So the team can go through and sort of make advisements around those and work with you to make sure that you're hitting what you need to hit in terms of your retention periods, but also making the best of those backups in the cloud in terms of optimization and costing perspective. We also help our managed service customers using looking at performance data. So what you can find is you'll have an on-premise server, you'll move it to the cloud, you'll match the spec, and it's going to cost you an absolute fortune in the cloud. So actually, really, are you using all that performance, all that spec that you gave it? So we can help by looking at the performance data in OMS, using OMS and SCOM. We've got our own segregated version of SCOM, which we've honed over years and years, which Jamie's team actually manage. And that kind of information we can also then pull out with Power BI dashboards and share with you, and you can really, really understand whether you are actually getting the most out of that machine. And Jamie will show you a little bit later, there's some specific Power BI reports for that to see how you can spot those machines that potentially might not be meeting what you're after. And also, as I've mentioned, being on top of those cost savings, but it's also working with those service owners to ensure that there isn't any impact on performance. So it might be all very well that you can say you can go to this new series, but once you do that, it crawls to a halt. So it's working with those service owners to make sure that doesn't happen, or if it does, having a plan and quickly executing that plan to get back to a stable level of service. And also, obviously, one of the best things about this is forecasting. So identifying those peaks in spends early. So we actually had a situation where one of our development teams went off and created a data warehouse, and we were at a point where I didn't realise until 10 days later I checked in the EA portal before I put all this in, and we were up to £1,000 just in 10 days, which is a bit of a shock. So we can help you by putting in alerts with the Power BI refreshes, or even using Cloud in as well, to put in alerts to highlight those sorts of things happening before they get to a point where we're spending an awful lot of money we shouldn't be. So also one of the things, those of you that have our service at the moment, we do something called a daily operations check, which is almost like a quick report in the morning, a quick snapshot to say everything is fine in your environment, or if there is a problem, don't worry, we are on it. So we developed this sort of daily ops check, we call it, and this is what we've got on the screen at the moment, which is just a 7-day snapshot of your last spend for a particular subscription. In this case, we can do it based on absolutely anything, any tag that you've got in Azure, a department, for example. But this particular one just gives you a really quick snapshot of where your money's going, what resources. We can break it down by a focus container as well. In this case, it's virtual machines, because that's usually where most people want to start. And it gives you a really good idea, and also highlights any kind of spend that potentially you might want to take a look at. So in red, that's the highest on the report for you as well. So again, it's all about being in control and understanding and being aware, but also not taking a long time flicking through reports to understand. So this is what we provide to you sort of every day if you buy the reports package. It can be tailored, as I say. We're more than happy to work with customers for tailoring that as well. So probably what you're actually interested in seeing now is the Power BI reports. So I'm going to hand over to Jamie to actually show you those and show you how you can drill into that data and really understand it from a granular level.
Cool. Thanks, Helen. I'm just about to share my screen. Right. I believe that should be coming through for everybody now. I'll just give it a second for it to load, and then if anybody can't see it, just feel free to pop into the chat that you can't see it, and I'll try and reshare it again. Cool. So I think that should be up for everybody now. So I'll just give you a run through on some of the slides. So as Helen was saying, all of these dashboards that we do are actually fully customizable. the reports that we've done here are things that we've sort of used ourselves, and we feel that these are the best to suit us, but obviously every customer is different. So when she was referring earlier as that different customers will have a cost-back chargeback model, we do ours based on department. So within our tenant, we've got that broken down by different subscriptions. So as you can see from here, we've got a data slide across the top, an overall cost for that time and date period, and also how much of the cost is being broken down by per subscription and per resource. So as you can see here, our normal production is running the highest cost, support is running just slightly lower, and then app dev isn't used as much as all. So this is just a bit of an overview, so straight away you can see who are the big spenders. We've then got the option to then drill in. So on the second chart here, we've done it based on resources. So per subscription, we've got the ability to break it down and see in which subscription, which resources are are costing the most money. So you can see with that production subscription, or support subscription, you can go in there and you can see what's using the bulk. So depending on what the actual machine, what the size of the machine, and how many machines are in that area. So for example, I'll choose an A1. Okay. And then on the right hand side, you can see that that's broken down, and there's multiple VMs that are on that series. So we can look into then, if that's costing us the bulk, we can look at seeing, well, do they need to be on that series? Can we look at changing it to a cheaper rate? We've then got another chart which we can use to drill in even further. So we can see what those resources are actually costing over a time period. So you can, again, you've got all the filters at the top, you've got your date slider, you can choose your subscription, you can see what's costing you in terms of resources. So if you wanted to, again, just look at your backup logs, as soon as you choose those, you can then, it filters the other reports on the slide and gives you a bit of a breakdown. We've also included a bit of a forecast as well, so based on what has been happening over the previous month, we're probably going to be able to forecast the costs at the same rate over the next month and see if that fits your spending. We had a slide in for change monitoring. So as Helen was mentioning earlier, we are all about optimisation. So these reports obviously give you the ability to empower yourselves and actually see what you're spending and make changes. But if you make those changes, you need to see if it's actually having any effect. So at this point, we can actually choose a particular machine. Again, this was on one of our SQL servers. So we actually were paying quite a lot of money through SQL Server. We even had multiple at one point in this particular scenario. And we thought, well, maybe we don't need that. Maybe we don't need to actually have all that resource for that server. So we actually made a couple of changes. As you can see from this chart at the top, we actually had it on different series. So we were testing it on an F8, and then we dropped it onto a D series, which is more optimized in terms of memory. We've obviously, that helps us. And it also works out cheaper for us, and this is just easy for us to be able to actually see over a long period that as soon as we made that change, we were saving probably about half the costs. Again, this is just a bit of a breakdown on the same machine, how much it's actually cost before you made the change and after the change. And like I just said previously, it is actually, it's half the cost and it's actually running completely fine. This, again, a bit of an overview. If you want to actually focus on a particular resource, some of the earlier slides you could actually choose your resource. This one is based on purely VMs. It's usually your heavier spender. So you can see which subscription, that's got the legend on there to see which subscription is actually breaking it down. And again, which VMs are actually costing the most money and how many you've got of each of them. One of the final slides that we've got on here, like we were saying previously, not all customers will actually have their Azure tenant split out by different departments in terms of subscriptions. So Azure has got the ability to use tags. So you can tag a machine for a particular department, a particular person, or for any of your needs really, just in terms of actually charging back. So we've got some of our machines, they are tagged by different departments and owners, and we've got the ability to build a report and focus in on which departments, again, are actually costing the most. One of the key things that we'd like to highlight with these reports is that they are fully customizable. We can actually, when you apply a tag to a machine in the Azure portal, that only takes effect from now. At that point, going forward, that will be fine. You can reflect that in the reports. But going back, it won't actually see it. Having the ability to put this into a SQL backend with Power BI on top of it gives us the ability to manipulate the data as well. So we can actually find resources that we will work with the customer and actually find out which sort of resources they want to tag for particular areas, and we can actually manipulate that data so it's actually easily visible for them to actually charge back how much it's going to cost and make sure that the right people are paying for it. So, yeah. Have you got anything else to add on that one, Helen?
No, sounds good to me.
Cool.
So has anybody got any specific questions on the call that that they've got from looking across the webinar today? If you want to pop any of those in the IM window, because I think you're all muted at the moment. Okay, super. If anybody does have any questions at all, please do let us know, either contact us directly or speak to your account manager. Just moving on to the next slide. So just to let you know what we've got going on for the rest of this month. So we've got a data modernisation event that's actually been held here at our headquarters at Stafford. So that's on the 26th of April. I think you will have probably been contacted by our marketing team. If not, once again, your account manager should have reached out to you just to let you know this event's going on. So it's just around data modernisation. And it's being held in conjunction with Microsoft. So a meeting that's sponsored by those guys, and also our director, Alan Rogers, is speaking, as well as one of our enterprise architects. If there's anything else that you want to know, or you want any more information about any of our other events, just have a look on our website on the events page, and that's kept up to date with the latest and greatest events that we're holding and future webinars. If nobody's got any other questions, we've
got one. We've got one.
We've
got two actually, both from Ian. I think Paul's writing us a question as well, so I'll answer Ian's if I may. I'm guessing the portal you mean, Ian, is the reports that Jamie has actually shown, and the ownership charging model of that. So essentially, they are simple Power BI reports. We do pull all the data and we store them in an Azure SQL PAS database, which is secure with key vaults. They are on our infrastructure, we do just do that essentially, so that you purchase the reports for 12 months, and then we would just take those down as and when that wasn't renewed. As it's your data, we could look at putting them on yours, but there would be an additional cost to yourselves, because obviously you'd have to host that database and key vault infrastructure and the Power BI groups essentially on that, and the dashboard layout essentially. That's the main reason we don't do it. There's nothing to say we couldn't do that. We're happy to work with you on that. And in terms of the charging model, there is a set charging model which we'll send out on the data sheet, but actually in the field actually do purchase that at the moment. Sorry. So by all means, if you talk to your SDM or your account manager, then we'll be able to share those with you and work with you, as Jamie said, to get more information about that.
Just adding another question there in terms of exporting the data, and yes, that is possible. Using Power BI, you can actually export directly from a particular graph, and you can either use that data itself, or you can actually have all of the data that's sitting in the background, so all the data is exportable.
Okay. Cool. Great. Ian's just said fantastic. So.
A lot of questions. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Bear with me 2 seconds. In terms of Paul's question, I will have to go away. I'll have to take that one away for you, Paul. But I certainly will be able to get back to you on that one. In terms, so Paul's actually asked us how did we approach the license transfer onto Azure? Did we opt for license mobility within our EA agreement? At the time, actually, that wasn't available for us when we moved. But we could certainly get someone to have a look at that for you and get back to you.
No problem. Has anybody else got any other questions? I'll just give you a couple more seconds to see if anybody needs or anything's popped up. Wonderful. Well, thank you all very much for joining today. We will get back to you around the question that Helen's got. But as I say, any other questions that you've got, please do contact your account manager or speak to the marketing team directly. Contact somebody who's available to help. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thanks all.